Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nur Ain. My register number is A1M299103. So today I will explain the material about the role of context in interpretation. Pragmatic and discourse context. So, pragmatics as the study of how the meaning of spoken and written discourse is related to context in which that speech and writing occurs. Pragmatics is specifically concerned with how speakers started interest and purpose shape discourse. In a discourse, the existence of context is very important because context can affect the meaning of word in a discourse, both spoken and written. Discourse is actually a combination of text and context. In other words, a text can be called as a discourse if there is context. In this case, speakers will understand a text if they also understand the context that accompanies the text. So, context can be classified into three types, namely 1. Situational context, namely the knowledge of speakers based on everything they see around them. In other words, the state of the physical situation visually regarding the place where the interaction between the speaker and the addressee occurs. 2. Background knowledge context, namely the speaker's knowledge about the interlocutor and also about the word. The context of this basic knowledge consists of culture, knowledge, and interpersonal knowledge. If the interlocutors were from the same group, they will normally assume the same knowledge about everything they know. Sharing the context of interpersonal knowledge requires verbal interaction or previous experience. 3. So textual context, or commonly known as context, which is the speaker knowledge of what he has said. So pragmatic and discourse contexts are divided into four, including the first is reference in presenting the traditional semantic view of referentialians, says that the relationship which holds between word and things is the relationship of reference. Word refer to things. This traditional view continues to be expressed in those linguistic study, or e.g. lexical semantic, which describe the relationship between a language and the word in the absence of linguistic research. Yet, Lyons, in a more recent statement on the nature of reference, make the following point. It is the speaker who refer or by using some appropriate expression. He he advanced the expression with reference by the age of referring. It is exactly this latter view of the nature of reference which the discourse analysis has to appeal to. There is support for such a pragmatic concept of reference in Strawson's claim that referring is not something an expression doesn't. It is something that someone can use an expression to do. And Ian Solis view that in the sense in which speaker refer, expressions do not refer any more than they make promises or give orders. Thus, in discourse analysis, reference is treated as an action of the part of the speaker or writer. In the following conversational fragment, we shall say, for example, that speaker A uses the expression my uncle and he to refer to an individual and my mother, sister, and she to refer to another. 2. Presupposition Presuppositions are what the speaker assumes to be the cause before making an utterance. The concept of presupposition is often treated as a relationship between two propositions. In the analysis of how speaker is a assumption are usually expressed, presuppositions have been linked to the use of large number of words, phrases, and structure. The linguistic forms are considered here as indicator of potential prepositions, which can only be actual preposition in context with the speaker. The type of presupposition are 1. Existential presupposition is the assumption of the consistence of the entity mentioned by the speaker. For example, when a speaker says Tom's name card, we can assume that Tom exists and he owns a card. 2. Factual presupposition are assumptions that something is true because of the presence of several verbs such as now and to release and phrases involving happy, for example. So when a speaker says that he doesn't release someone is sick, we can assume that someone is sick. Also, when he say, I am glad it's over, we can assume that it's over. 3. Lexical presupposition is the assumption that in using one word, the speaker can act as if another meaning or word will be understood. For example, you are late again, or you were late earlier. In this case, the use of the expression again is taken to presuppose another or unimetonic concept. 4. Structural prepositions are assumptions related to the use of certain words and phrases. For example, the we question in English is conventionally interpreted with the preposition that information after the we from or eg when and where is already known to be the case. When did he go to the United States? His travels. 5. Non-factive prepositions are assumptions that something is not true. For example, verbs such as drain, imagine, and pretend are used with the presupposition that what follows is not true. I dream that I was alright or I am not alright. 6. I counterfactual preposition is an assumption that what is preposition is not only untrue but contrary to what is true or contrary to fake. For example, some conditional structure commonly called conditional counterfactual preposition that the information in the if clause was not true at the time it was said. If you were my doctor, I will not let you do this, or you are not my doctor. The next material, 3. Implicator people cannot be separated from communication with others, such as talking, chatting, or gossiping. In speaking with others, every form of speech actually implies something to be communicated. The implicator is a proposition that commonly hides behind the speech produced and is not the right part of that speech. Vijana, in that case, what is said is different from what is implied. H. A phrase proposed that what is meant is not what is said. The differences between the speech and the implicator sometimes make the speaker difficult to understand the meaning of a speech in general. However, the interlocutors have shared experiences and knowledge Therefore, the conversation can run smoothly without any obstacles. The sample of conversation implicator can be found in Discourse. In one of a university, there was a lecturer who was giving an explanation in front of the class without using mere tone. While explaining that material suddenly, the lecturer said, with evidence of student in this class, could only speak for about 20 minutes. The speech does not merely inform that inability of the lecturer to speak in front of the class for a long time, but it implies an imperative that there will be someone who doesn't something to solve the problem. For example, one of the students will ask the officer on duty to private microphone in the class. Girishi or Fiona Baban explains that the meaning of implicator as it is stated above call it meaning known natural, which then it is used as the base of conversational implicator. Based on Levinson, the problem of conversational implicator is the most crucial one in the study of pragmatic. It happens because the problem of conversational implicator is directly related to practical usage of language, both verbal and non-verbal. The concept of implicator, the conversational implicator, was at first proposed by the philosopher Paul Grice in a lecture at Harvard University. In the study of pragmatic and discourse implication means something involved in the conversation. In addition, Cardillac Anna explained that implicator is what logical the conclusion of a speech as well as the solid background of knowing between the speaker and the hearer and a given context. Therefore, implicators show the differences between what is said from what is meant. However, these differences do not become a problem in the conversational because the interlocutor have already understood each other. Thus, implicator does not need to be expressed explicitly, which to have a better understanding of this, the following are examples of speech where the difference happened. 1. A. What time is it? B. The newspaper has not arrived yet. Structural conventionally, both sentences seem unrelated. However, actually there are extra linguistic factors involved in reconstructing the sentence. If the sentences are extended, it will be like the following. 2a. Could you tell me what time is it? As it is shown in the wage. And if you could, please tell me. B. I don't know exactly what time it is now, but I can tell you a habit where you can guess what time it is that is. The newspaper commonly delivered has not arrived yet. In the conversation above, the information of answer queried is not given directly and competently in the dialogue. 1. But the statement given in 2 can be understood by this asking person. Hence, the speaker 2 can only judge about what time the newspaper comes. This guessing should be based on the context, which includes the issue, interlocutor, and their background. The difference between 1 and 2 is quite large and cannot be explained by using conventional theory of semantics. To solve this problem, we need a system, and the concept of conversational implicator is not solution. For inference. Inference is defined as information that is not expressed explicitly by the text but which can be derived from the text on the basis of understanding chronology and which is encoded into a representation of the understanding construction of the text. According to Collins Dictionary, inference is the conclusion we derive about something using the information we already have about it. Another opinion emerges from the literary terms. Inference is the process of drawing conclusion from supporting evidence. That's when we go beyond the evidence and reach some further conclusion. We also make reference when we read the literature. The author gives us a clue as to what happened, and we have to find out based on the evidence. The author implies, reader concludes. Mean will according to the philosophy terms, inference is the process of drawing conclusion based on evidence. Based on some evidence or premises, we make a conclusion. It can be concluded that inference is an idea or conclusion modeled by the reader based on information or fake and the texts that are or not written directly, because usually the conclusion has an implied meaning from within the text. There are three types of inference, among others. One, deductive. Deductive inference is part of a series of conclusions based on logical certainty. It usually starts with a general principle and then concludes something about a particular case study. Two, eductive. Eductive inference is inference based on probability. It usually starts with specific information to conclude more general principle. Or it can also be said that induction is a conclusion that leads to a rule of principle or general conclusion based on sample observation or case of observation. 3. Abductive. In the philosophical literature, the term abduction is used in two related but distinct senses. In both senses, the term refers to some form of explanatory reasoning. However, in the first sense, historically, it referred to exploratory reasoning in generating a hypothesis, whereas in the sense it is most often used in modern literature, it referred to explanatory reasoning in justifying a hypothesis. In the last sense, abduction is also often called inference for the best explanation. Example of inference in everyday life, for example, one Sally arrives home to 3 p.m. and find out that her mother will be home from work at 5 p.m. Sally also saw that the links in their house were off. Sally can conclude that her mother is not home yet. True, John hears the smoke alarm in the house next door and smells burnt meat. John can conclude that his neighbor's cooking is burnt or scorched. 3. Norman sees cooking rubbed on the floor and chocolate around his son's mouth. Norman could conclude that he saw a cake. For Julia worked in a pet shop and his worked a lizard, a dog, and a rabbit. It can be concluded that Julia is a pot lover. Okay, that's all for me. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.